So we're gonna go over some footage from New Year's Day and the day after that, and maybe the day after that if we have time.
Cool.
So we got you and Ronnie. I wonder if Ronnie will be joining us.
She does really. I really like this reverse over tie that she does on me. To where she puts it over my head. I mean, I don't like feeling it, obviously, but it's actually pretty controlling and makes me not want to play that game with her.
Yeah.
It feels threatening.
Yeah. And for anybody wanting to, you know, mess around with snap downs, like the best, like what you need to focus on is just getting your armpit higher than the crown of that person's head, right? Higher than your opponent's head, and from there, it's pretty much cake to set up the just a front headlock. I mean, you could play right into a guillotine if you want, if you're going against a novice,
Hmm.
but then you just work snap downs, which, contrary to unpopular belief, do work.
Yeah, right.
Nobody knows what I'm talking about, but man, I know I've talked about it a few times, but when we go over our old competition footage,
Hmm.
it'll make more sense why I say that.
Yeah, right.
I'll happily tell that whole story. You don't ever really see Colin and Natalie rolling too frequently, like live.
You don't. Yeah, it's, and I think for here you can kind of see why they kind of go lazy with it. You know.
What's up, Austin? What's up, Illumio? Happy New
What's
Year to you
happening?
too, bud.
Happy New Year.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. I didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Kind of what you do at our age now, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
really
was
want
happy
to.
I stayed up.
What was that?
I'm happy I stayed up until midnight.
I was the DD because.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah, I really want to see Natalie start bringing her wrestling into jiu-jitsu. I mean, I know it's just her first year and she's got a lot to learn, but like
Mhm.
Colin's in for a world of hurt if she starts taking these roles seriously. I'm not entirely sure what Veronica's plan of attack is here. I'm gonna speed this
Yeah,
up
she
a bit.
has to get to the other hip, right? Like the at this point, if she starts going down to her left hand side, then I'm in trouble.
Right.
But if she stays up on that, then I feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I would have much rather seen her just start framing. Um, Holding onto that head is there's nothing really to do from there. I mean, I shouldn't say nothing, but like, you were working to get your knee free. You were
Hmm.
working the beginnings of a pass. It would be a lot more prudent to just let go of the head, make sure you have a good frame, and regard, or as you've been working on a lot lately, trying to wrestle up from there.
Hmm. Yeah, so here I know that I can't. We're on like a little over 1x. What are we on? One and a third speed here.
Like 1.4
But I can't get the other hook in.
on
It's
your
difficult
right leg.
on my, yeah, my right leg. It's very difficult. She keeps a very good like a long leg, right? She's trying to shoot her leg out, and it's tough. So I'm doing that high ball ride, and I really like that position on people who are very reluctant to give me that other hook.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like half. I don't even want to say half of the hip control. It's still a fair amount of hip control. You just don't have that. You don't have both
Hmm.
hooks in.
You got to really close your knee on top of the top hip, right? Like if you've got the bottom leg, then you have to make sure that your knee is closed around the top hip in order to make sure that they don't have too much movement left and right.
Yeah, one of the dangerous things about that position you guys were just in. It's how tempting it is to fight someone's feet with your hands.
Yep.
Right. Where was it? You'll see Ronnie start to do it right here. She kind of comes up and she's attacking your feet.
Mm-hmm.
But the big problem is she's leaving her neck open. Even if her chin is tucked, like it's still, you don't have as much or as many limbs to use to defend your neck at that point.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice cartwheel or a round off. I think that was a round off.
What's up, James?
What's happening?
So yeah, for all the students in chat, we were talking with Luke this week about like just getting this stream set up like on the website and all that stuff. You'll see it's on the schedule now at mooresvillebjj.com. But Luke, let me slow this down before y'all do something cool. Luke wanted to let you guys know that tuning into the stream live can count towards your attendance. So if you want to claim this as an attendance credit, go ahead and log in on your profile on the website and sign into the scheduled option there on your attendance and get a little extra credit. He considers this studying, so take full advantage. Especially you, Brooks, since you're not gonna be here ever.
Yeah, right. Gotta train.
Yeah, I know you're watching. Get your dad set up. Get him in the chat.
He'll just leave like he does the WhatsApp chat.
I really hope we don't lose too much of this roll to the side. Oh, let me move you out of the way. There we go. So you're working this like, I don't know, is that, I guess that's a deep, or like a K guard or something.
I don't know what it's called. All I know is that I feel comfortable there, whatever the hell it is. I have my foot like wedged in, almost like a, see how my right ankle is like in the hip line?
Yeah.
And that's really because I don't fully think that I'm gonna get a leg entry on him yet. And so I'm doing that to basically prevent my back from getting taken.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, Brooke, you'll still kick my ass. Coach Mike is in the chat. What's up, Bertram?
Hey.
Make sure you hit
What's
that
happening?
follow button. Yeah, Illumio, we use it's not really a credits thing, like we just like to keep track of, who's coming to class, who's being diligent about getting their mat time in and all that. Not really like, can't say promotions are really based on it. It's just good to know. We're a growing school, so helps us keep track of who's showing up and putting some good work in. Ooh.
That was a nice back take.
That was. I want to look at that again.
Deep scoop under, grabbing the trap.
Alright, so knee across the hip, isolating your arm. Yeah, just diving in on it. That was great, man.
Mm-hmm. It was a nice scoop. I'm in pretty big, I start out in pretty big danger, and watch how I defend. So I don't do it conventional. In fact, if I went conventional to defend, if you go back a little bit, Matt, if I went conventional, he would have submitted me.
What do you mean?
What
do you mean conventional?
Stop.
Oh, hold on.
So 2-on-1 on the choking arm. I'm not going 2-on-1. I actually have 2-on-1 on the support arm.
Yeah.
So I had to strip that in order to start cutting my angle. Otherwise, I was gonna tap. I was very close to getting strangled there. And then once I got 2-on-1, it alleviated some of the choking pressure, the strangle pressure, and I was able to start rotating out of it to get my shoulders down to the mat.
Yeah, and another thing to note here, this is obviously transient, right? We're just looking at a second in time here, but where the strangle arm is and where the head is, right? They're kind of in line. Ideally, you should have the head on one side right here, strangle arm on the other. And that's, to your point, Mike, the fact that you're 2-on-1 on the control hand or the non-strangle hand, if you can create enough room, in maybe down below his tricep, between like your head and his bicep, slipping your shoulders to the mat to get safe is absolutely a decent escape strategy. Let's see how he.
Yes, the only one I had.
It looks like he knew he had lost the head on one side, the hand or the arm on the other. But then he gets up and takes him out, and he makes sure he controls the scramble, which is good.
He does. I had my hand on his knee to try and push it off so that I could either get him to dismount or to shoot into my own Ashigarami. And he wasn't having it. Like, he had a very, very tight knee pinch on me. I don't think even at this point I was able to slip into a half guard. And he's doing that. He's preventing me from going from a hip escape by actively hand fighting me. Like, he's actively attacking from the top, and that doesn't give me any chance to start to escape.
Yeah.
I'm completely in a defensive cycle here, trying to figure out how to get out.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to learn too, for beginners. Is, I mean, I like even well into purple belt, maybe because of my size, it's easy to get bucked off or get your mount disrupted quickly. I mean, Luke's even talked about that too, right? Where he's had a pretty standard strategy from mount for a long time because it was kind of a position where he didn't do a lot. Really good double under defense.
Yep.
Go back to that for a second.
Straightening his body out.
Yeah, getting right on the wrists, and then just like there's a good. I mean, this is like basically you can kind of kip your way to safety here with the wrists, which looks like he kind of does.
He does, yeah, because I'm trying to hug into the hip line with my hands, and he's not allowing that to happen with the good frames on my wrists.
Looking half guard.
In his half guard, his knee shield is very difficult to collapse here and to pull through. Like, it looks like I should be able to just do like a leg drag, and I'm not able to secure it. I'm opting to go for the bottom wrist to try and control that to see if I can disrupt his half guard.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm successful in this role with it.
Something I like to do right around here, right? Where you're like, you've got, let's see if I get a better spot. Like, Steven's doing a really good job of keeping the top knee in, keeping his knee shield up, getting the top elbow, right? The outside elbow inside the leg.
Inside of the...
And against your own hip. Like, what, at some point, I think he slips the knee here, or like the knee was on the outside. Maybe it was before that. But like, that's the time where once you get that knee elbow connection, it's so much more difficult for the guy playing bottom half guard to re-guard with his legs, and passing, although not easy, is one step closer at that point. Let's see if I'm gonna scoot this out because I think you guys get off the looks like we didn't get to catch the rest of that roll.
So he actually it was a pretty slick armbar transition that he got into there, and I was saved by the bell. I think he would have worn me down, and actually I think he would have submitted me there if it wasn't for the bell.
So embarrassing.
Steven's digging for legs, and he winds up getting this sweep. I think that's an important thing to note, is that if you are shooting for legs at any given time, you should always realize that Ashigarami or leg entanglements in general give you sweeps. They always will lead to a sweep, and you need to be ready to either finish the Ashigarami with whatever submission you have in mind, or go into the sweep and get up on top. Nice knee bar step over from half guard. That was very clean. One thing to note about when you're passing someone's guard is that it's much easier to pass when somebody has a strong side and a weak side. But what Steven's doing here is he's actively going from hip to hip. Um, he's switching from his left hip to his right hip depending on how Veronica's coming into his guard, and that can be like very confusing for the top player because it gives the illusion that there is no strong side and weak side.
Man, that was nasty.
What's that?
That Kimura
Oh
sweep
yeah.
that he did, just nice, kind of sniped it right out. And yeah, before she could really hide her arm with her hip, he committed to it and
Yep.
used it very effectively for a sweep to the back. That was beautiful. And then we get into a little bit of hand fighting, Colin being an asshole. Kind of in a similar spot. I'd like to see Steven get his head towards Veronica's right side. Looks like he's trying to make that adjustment. That's good. Better.
She's tough to submit from the back.
Yeah,
She really is.
she really is. She makes it extremely difficult these days.
I think he's got the arm though.
Yep.
He got the arm.
Too bad Colin was
Well, we can't see because
completely blocking that. I've only been doing this for months now. People don't realize where the camera is. We just need to make like a smack talking zone, like where Cole's sitting. So if you want to, you go over there and you don't get in the way of the footage. Let's fast forward through this before I get angry. There we go.
Again, with turning to the hips from bottom, like that's I like that. It gives you different looks, different angles from
Yeah.
the bottom position.
Yeah, and notice Steven's pretty quick to regard here if he needs to, right? If the angles aren't working out for him, you know, he can just skip the half guard fight and immediately go back to guard. Now it looks like he's got himself a better bite on the arm, but his hips kind of look a little well, they look better now.
You got it.
Looks like he tightened that up. Good.
Mm-hmm. Or kicked her in the mouth, one or the other. Tap
Yeah.
to tap.
Get it how you get it. Something to note here too, of how light the mats are on this particular day. We got a really committed group of core students who like to get out here on holidays and weekends and everything. I mean, this is New Year's Day. Not that any of these guys were hungover or anything, but always like to see that you guys coming out on either really nice days when you could be doing something else, or day after a holiday, on a holiday, whatever. Let's fast forward. All right, good. Let's beat Colin's ass. Man, Steven finds those Kimuras everywhere now.
Going up for a hip bump sweep. Can't quite get it. But then gets the Kimura.
That was great.
It's the beauty's in its simplicity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, all these techniques are great in isolation and easy in isolation. Good heavy snaps. But getting him
Using
chained
them would
together
help
and
a lot.
using them makes a huge difference. Just seeing him attempt the hip bump sweep, working the Kimura the whole time. That's what we like. See how much connection we can get there.
There it is. He's looking for the ability to make a grip. He makes the grip, and now he can start to hunt for whatever entry he can get.
Yeah. And yeah, Steven, you and I think it was you and I talking about that the other day. Like, just after, you know, watching some of these videos, realizing how much of a connection you can make, you know, in a seated versus standing position. And definitely, it looks like you're stepping that up a lot. But that's, you know, you were playing a lot of wrist control, really annoying him there, and then you decided to switch down to the ankle, which I was happy to see. You got to do what you can in these situations to really disrupt their base, right? Their connection with the ground. Get their legs spread apart. Get them, you know, stepping back into staggered positions. You know, whatever you can. Oh, we got Bertram on the mats now. I'm pretty sure we got your role with Mike coming up.
Yeah.
Beautiful view. Thank you, Mike. Let's see if we can zoom in a little closer.
Yet again,
good
hunting for
transition.
the arm bar.
I'm gonna go back. So looks like Steven was just having
Cross
a back day today.
Mm-hmm.
Great transition to the armbar. Oh, it skipped a little part.
I don't know why mine's doing that.
Yeah, we gotta get your iMovie situated.
Yeah.
So again, look for the connections from the seated opponent, right? And Colin's doing a good job bugging the head. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Good little go behind. I mean, they're obviously, you know, they're not going 100% right now, but Colin needs to.
I'd like to see. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I think we're gonna say the same thing.
I'd like to see him heavier on the hips, if he's going to do that, or, you know, establishing hooks. I know Steven wasn't going to give them to him, so heavier on the hips for sure.
Yeah.
The 2-on-1 grips. I love that.
Mike says he just farted on screen. I'm glad this isn't the metaverse where we could possibly like smell it or something.
Yeah, right. 4D.
Yeah, something for Colin to add to his arsenal here. I just want to go back a second. He it looks like he really favors, you know, bugging the head, maybe collar ties, whatever. The connections, you know, for the standing opponent don't just need to be the head, you know, in the shoulder area. I mean, they're great and they make a really big difference, but good example of wrestling up there from Steven. You know, getting your hands on the ankles, putting them on their back, getting wrist control, 2-on-1s, arm drags, like a lot of the things that you work from a standing position against a standing opponent work well against a seating opponent. Not everything, but there are plenty of things you could do that you do in other situations to, you know, get your leg up the middle to start passing the guard from that one single leg inside position. You know, weighing your opponent's legs down to try to crescent step around them faster than they can turn because you're weighing them down. We've gone over that a lot at the open guard classes, so just something to keep in mind. Good little sweep. Colin wasn't ready for that. I think we're going. I think I'm losing you guys. Let me zoom out here. There we go. looks like that was time. I'm gonna try to do a good bit of scrolling ahead through the videos today just to see if we can get as much footage in as we can. All right, we got Mike versus Mike.
Yeah, I was completely dominated. I tried to sweep a single. He wasn't going anywhere.
Such a terrible spot to be is Coach Mike bear hugging your legs and
Yep.
just moving around you with efficiency.
Yep. No, this is the beautiful one right here. Watch. Boop. Like he just pops me down.
Let's see again.
So like so as I turtle up, watch his right arm is on my far tricep. Like on my right tricep. I have no chance.
Yeah, it's so he had if Mike had kind of like an underhook from the front side, that would have been like what I was talking about with you the other day, like that cow catcher technique from wrestling. But yeah, I mean alternative grip but the same outcome. Did you polish your head that day, Mike? Make that head nice and shiny and beautiful. I swear to God, Colin will not block any of this.
Yeah, right. I don't think he does.
I'm gonna have his sister beat his ass.
Trying to make grips on Mike is just it's tough. It's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, it looked like you were trying to set up like that shoulder crunch setup where where instead of pulling the arm drag crossbody, you pull it to the same side to get them to plant to open the arm up.
That was an attempt. Frankly, at that point, I'm trying to figure out where I can actually get him to move. That's the hard thing, is trying to get a response.
Sure.
So here becomes the time where you kind of like have to accept your fate.
Yeah, he's got your arm isolated.
Yeah, and then it's mounted, and he got me with a straight arm lock on that side.
I want to go back on this one.
My left side.
So just like something to point out to some of the students in the chat. You know, a lot of the matches, a lot of the fun like high-paced death matches you'll see us have or that we'll have with you or whatever. It's always fun, but like notice how Coach Mike is just being very controlling, right? He's not moving frantically. He's not trying to escape super quickly or anything, right? He's very methodical. Notice he's got really, really heavy shoulder pressure on Peters here, right? Once he's got that and he's under control, he's walked his foot up. His foot isn't hanging out back here, right? So he's getting ready to get his knee out of the trap, right, to escape basically from half guard. His trap knee is going to come out soon. He starts attacking the arm here, right? So he opens the arm up, or maybe looks like he's going for the wrist. Gets underneath.
Yeah, he goes for the underhook. Yep.
Just starts working that the little spider walk up the mat, isolating the arm. Now, as you go to try to escape, you have one less hand to help, as well as set up for a submission when he does end up passing your guard, right? So he's taking his time and being very controlling. What does he do next? He focuses on getting the leg free. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and like, you know, I would hope that everyone on here understands the importance of the far side underhook while passing half guard. But what I want to point out is where my hips have to point, where my knees start to point when Coach Mike has like has secured that underhook. When before, when I was quote unquote surviving, my knees, like prior to the underhook, my knees are pointing towards Coach Mike. Like my hips are free for the most part. As he starts to flatten me out, right? See how like when I have the underhook, my right leg and my left leg can both flare to the right hand side, and I can start to, actually maintain a half guard. Once he secures that underhook and he starts to drive my shoulder down to the mat, my knees have nowhere to point except for either straight up in the air or away from Coach Mike, which gives him the ability to either completely dismount and take side control, or, like he does, slip straight into a mount.
Yep. So yeah, really good foot pummeling, and then can't see the finishing technique there, but I've certainly felt it a million times.
Yep, straight arm lock feels horrible. Take my word for it.
Coach Michael saying, he said in the chat he's moving like a slug, but it's a slug that you can't stop from moving, and that slowly envelops you. But I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, all kidding and self-deprecation aside, there's that double. I watched this when you told me about it. Just like, you're like, I'm just gonna drive through everybody. We lost it a little bit, but yeah, you got him up. Let me give you your credit here. Take it back. Just driving right into Colin, getting him against the wall.
Yeah, I was taking anyone out. It's like when those in the 90s, like if you went down on the skating rink, you just kind of like sprawled your hands out, try and take down as many kids as you could. That's what I was doing.
Yeah. But yeah, in any case, moving like a slug, quote unquote, is really necessary if you want to, like, roll for an hour at a time, or if you need to pace yourself in your match, in a competition. Like, being able to exert that level of control is a skill in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that on a lot of people, I could just straight up take mount. On that, I was not taking mount on Mike. It wasn't his leg. His leg was definitely hindering my ability to take them out. It was actually his right elbow connection to his hip. I couldn't, if I were to try and drive my knee across his body here, he would have caught me in a half guard immediately, and I would have been probably swept from that position.
Yeah.
So I had no choice but to try and go to a north-south.
And something I know, Coach Mike, you've been adamant about teaching whenever we have our mount classes, and we're going over mount escapes. It's you don't wait around to get out of mount. You immediately escape. You immediately initiate your escape, right? And had you, Mike, to your credit, had you gone and taken mount, it would have been immediate hand on the hip, stiff arm away, giant shrimp.
Yep.
Yeah, we've all been there. That was nice. Yeah, you've gotten annoyingly good at hiding your back really early on. Like even with the back take, just getting your shoulders to the mat and making the inevitable, mount transition, or in this case, counter leg attack, making it a sure thing.
It's tough to leg lock Steven nowadays.
Well, this looks like you found an effective counter.
Yeah. I got him back the other, Monday, was it, Steven? I just, jumped from, 3 feet in the air, knee straight down into the balls. It was great. I got him back for that one.
I almost forgot our submission scoreboard. We're gonna put
Oh yeah.
Bertram at the top with his savage armbar on you, or straight arm, and then
Well, Steven's got like 12, so.
Steven like 12. Plus a nut shot.
A slug with that feels like 500 pounds of pressure. Yes, yes. That is true, Justin.
Yeah, I don't know. Steven, do you know how many subs you had so far that we went over? Whatever it takes.
Right?
Look how quick Steven is to try to capture your leg too. Like,
Yep.
that just, that comes from a lot of rolling, a lot of hours on the mat, just immediately knowing, what you're thinking. Because you specifically don't really. I'll give you 4, Steven. You don't really work too much from side control.
Mm-mm.
You like to work from north south, or transition to mount. So like after a bit of a scramble there, I don't remember exactly what it looked like. Steven could probably make a safe bet that if you're not hanging out at north south and you're in side control, and maybe you're feeling less effective at north south, or he's feeling really confident,
Going to mount.
you're probably going to try to mount. So he was immediately ready to capture your leg, and you were just you only committed the knee over. I assume just to try to get some influence on his hips.
Yep.
Nice little arm
That was
drag.
a beautiful sweep.
Yeah, let's look at that
He
again.
hit me with that, and I was like, damn, that was nice.
Yeah, it looked like, it was just it's funny too, because you've got the top wrist position there, right? You're the one pinning his hand, but he goes across the body to capture your tricep, and then I think it looks like he wrist rolls out, or I guess maybe you just committed to the hip, and he managed to just keep the outside position on the arm, but that was good.
I think it was a combination of his time. We talked about it afterward. His timing today, like on this day, was particularly, and this was his first day for like after 2 weeks off, or so long off because he was on vacation. But his timing was like so good on this particular day. It was right when I was trying to transition to cut my right hip down to attempt to pass the half guard, and or to pass this guard rather. And he timed it perfect with that double scoop grip, and then kicked me straight over.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And I think this is the first time that I even had a chance at going for like a leg entanglement on him. He didn't give me one in the previous roll, and he hadn't given me one yet in this roll.
I'd like to see a bit more connection there, Steven, before you unless you're going for like a really fast like knee cut pass, just making sure you're controlling instead of just shooting in and looking for a pass.
The way that he transitioned to that, I was like, my face doesn't change in this, but I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, shit, that was good. Like that was such a good
on
transition.
This leg entanglement.
Yeah, how he
Let's go
switches, he catches my right leg. I go up and I start to defend. He feels like he doesn't have it anymore. He just immediately switches.
That's the drill, right? Like that's what we've drilled
That's it.
plenty of times, just switching that Irimiyashi from right to left, and then now he ends up on the outside.
So he goes
almost to cross ashi.
So he does. He has cross ashi here. He went into 50-50. Then he immediately passed it off into cross ashi.
And it almost looks like he's going for the Mikey lock setup.
It is. It's exactly what he's doing.
So I haven't tried that obviously in a while. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the left arm, you'd want to get that at the heel, right? Not across,
Yep.
not across your body. You want to control at the heel right here, and then the right arm is in a good spot, holding the toe line, right?
Yep.
And
yeah.
then-
So
Yeah.
the Mikey lock would be, Steven would have in this case, it would be my left leg. He would be holding underneath my ankle
With his left hand.
arm. Yep. And then his elbow would be posted on the mat. Okay. And it would be sandwiched in between. So my foot would be sandwiched in between his hand and his face. And then his other hand would come across and go to the toes.
Yeah.
And then he would use that to start pulling across and still applying pressure with his right knee across my leg. And that would be the Mikey lock.
Yeah. And that, again, that's assuming that that's what Steven was even going for.
It was. We talked
Chime
about
in,
it,
man, if
right after that.
okay.
Yep. And then I was like, so here, it looks like it's really awkward. All right, but I had a couple of choices here, and
Did you
one
get
of
the
them
tap
was
on that?
Good, and I did, yeah, with the heel hook. So I had a couple of choices in that leg exchange, and only one of them was a good option. The first was for me to actively try and fight to get to the straight ankle grip and finish the straight ankle. The second was to pretend like I was going for the straight ankle with a one-armed grip.
Right.
And what I did was I didn't even make the full grip. I just had my elbow tucked to my side, and I was stretching this foot out across. And it looks really painful, but it wasn't terribly super tight until I got to the very end. And then
I don't
once
think
he
it's your
felt
place to say
uncomfortable-
that, man.
What's that?
I don't think it's your place to say whether it was super tight or not. I've been on the receiving end of your leg locks.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
But once he felt threatened, he lifted his leg
Yeah.
up, and it gave me the heel exposure. I wasn't going to get the heel exposure until he lifted it, and I knew it from having done it with him before.
And Steven, one option for you here, since you're really working these leg attacks a lot, you could tell there was kind of a moment here. There was a transition where, this submission didn't work, or you felt like you had to adjust, you had to make a change. You can keep this. What I would do right here before Mike, notice Mike's hand, his back hand is planted, so it's not doing anything offensive. Before he can switch into an offensive cycle of his own, continuing rolling through this way, across Mike's body, could be a good option for you to play around with. Keep it's hard to see, but this is the toes of Mike's left leg. Keep that tight to your ribs and start to roll towards him. Initiate that roll, and you could get some heel exposure as you go over, right? And if you can initiate that roll well enough, you're going to put Mike in a spot where he has to react, right?
That's right.
To keep him on the defense. So something to think about. We often don't, or at least I know when I was beginning, to work leg locks, it was a long time before I was being very dynamic in my attacks, because the initial setup never ever works. The initial heel exposure never works, especially when you're going with this guy. So yeah, being able to roll through on those can really help you a lot and open up some of those attacks.
Danaher talks a lot about and I haven't heard even his students who talk through leg locks, whether it would be Gary or even when Craig had released his instructionals under Danaher. But Danaher talks about the ability for the person on the offensive cycle to initiate the roll. So if you're on the attack, a roll through can actually work to your advantage, like what Matt's saying. By the time you go belly down or knees to the mat with me, my heel is actually exposed and primed for the taking.
Yeah.
So yeah, give that a shot and break my leg next time.
Please. I want one of your legs to break so that you get really worried about it when it's attacked, so I can get submissions on you more easily.
Yeah.
like for every student in chat, if you guys want to submit me really easily, just attack my left arm from now on. I'll be traumatized for a while. You can run the submission scoreboard up on me.
Was this on Sunday?
This was yes.
Or Monday?
This was Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
So yeah, this is the other bigger chunk. We'll save the 10 minutes from yesterday, maybe for next week, or I'm sorry, from Monday. So I know Jason's, he's a pretty humble dude, pretty self-deprecating about his abilities, but if he doesn't want to go down, and if he doesn't want to be armbarred, if he doesn't want you to do what your plan A is, you're most likely not going to do it. And he's a white belt.
No.
Like he's very good about stopping offensive attacks. At least well telegraphed, obvious ones. It was a nice hook sweep you had.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a 2-on-1, and then lifting and driving with the back leg.
I like how he's not really letting you settle in on those grapevines.
Mm-hmm.
That's the right idea. Like, they can be really annoying, but he points his toes out, extends his leg and just tries to pummel his legs back in. Find your opponent's foot and step on it with your cross-side foot, right? And work the grapevines off from there. Here it's essential to get inside position with your arms. Like you need to get your arms under the chest, ideally, for the easiest possible escape if you're in bottom north-south.
He's getting very good at defending any of the arm attacks that I'm trying to open up on him. Like I remember this one pretty specifically, and anytime I was trying to dig for arms, I couldn't push him down, no matter how many times I switched. 2-on-1, nothing. I wasn't able to move this guy. Like he was tough.
Right. And I know you like to do like that, lift one up so that he tries to fight it and slam it down, thereby exposing the other, right? Kind of the same push pull you would do from damn near everywhere in the sport.
Right.
But yeah, he's definitely getting super good at shutting that down.
And I think exactly like you said, like he's not accepting the mount. He's, as soon as he feels my knee across his belly, he's popping up, trying to make sure that he's like letting me know that I'm threatened and that I should not go to mount because I'm going to get captured. So I've got him in a north-south choke here. It doesn't look tight until I start settling down here.
Yeah.
Once I feel his chin lift up, it's kind of just a matter of time.
Yeah, and for the record, this is definitely a case where getting that bear hug on your opponent is not going to do you a damn bit of good. The what I hate most about the north-south choke or defending it is, ideally you want to turn and face their ribs, right? So you basically have to smash your own nose into the side of their body to give your neck some room to do what it do. So it's a painful escape, but it's a strangle if you don't try, right?
Yep.
I mean, Luke's hit that on me before, where I turn in and I just pray that he burns his arms out or gets bored, and he eventually does, but it's at the expense of either my face or the back of my neck getting cramped up. Nice guillotine or
Yep.
front headlock. This is a good time to step around. So
Hmm.
he could have done like a little block of that arm of your right arm here. Stepped around for the back. You got a big entrance here
Yep.
for a back take, right? I imagine that would have closed up a bit once he transitioned.
But still, it's there, right?
Yeah. Okay, good. I'll give you your north-south point.
I was trying to go through and secure my far arm. I try a roll through, and I think I wind up. I have to concede the pass after a second here, because he does just pressure straight on top. He does a really good job of clearing that far arm with an inside bicep tie. I wish he would have kept it, personally. The scarf hold, while it sucks for a lot of people, once you get used to the scarf hold, it's really not terrible, and it gives me an opportunity to get up.
Yeah, Lumio, I know what you mean. He says, I always feel like there's some FOMO when you have that front headlock position. That's true. The downside of that is you get the position and you feel like you got like a great opportunity to control, but you've got to ask yourself, like, how are you going to finish it? We've got a couple students. I mean, one of them, in the other pair on the mat, who's just an almost unstoppable Darce, right? If he gets that front headlock position, we know at this point that's kind of his plan A, right? And then he's got a really good anaconda, of course. But yeah, that and it's funny because that go behind too. Like the one time I signed up for Absolute in a competition, in a gi match, I had that front headlock on a guy who was like 6 foot tall or whatever, like taller than me. We're probably 15 minutes into the match because it was a no time limit, and I'm like, I know I'm good on the back, and I immediately try to hit my go behind, but I messed up the block of the arm, and he just captured my hips, put me right on my back, and it was it's definitely a risk when you try to hit the go behind from that front headlock, but it pays off if you're not an idiot and you do it correctly, unlike me.
So go back to that step around there. That was a good scramble. It was a good shot by James. And then, so go back even further.
Okay.
Here we go. So James goes in and tries to circle around. I feel like he wanted to go for that double, but he had to settle on that single. And Steven goes and steps around him and goes almost for like that reverse triangle position, or the weird triangle position.
Look at that one more time.
It was a great exchange there by both. Like, good on you for taking the shot, James. I mean, you don't know unless you try it. And then awesome reaction by Steven.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a spot, James, where like you really got to commit to the drive on this, because you have his leg pretty well contained here, and you may even be able to reach for a knee tap on the back leg, just to kind of transition to that double. But yeah, with your head kind of up the center as opposed to like outside the hip, or even on his stomach, but with you kind of dead in front of him, it's hard to get some torque to get him down.
So Steven actually, initially, to block that, he sets up a Darce strangle, or actually an anaconda strangle. Watch his right arm shoot all the way through. You see that?
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
So maybe that's probably what hindered James from either continuing to drive forward, because he would have got submitted there, and obviously being able to reach over and grab the other knee. I don't know if that's the case. James, go ahead and chime in if you care to.
I wonder. I wonder how effective the anaconda would be if you stuck on that single.
I don't know. You normally finish hip to hip, right? With the anaconda and the darce, you can finish both.
Yeah,
hip to hip.
you could probably still finish it, or make it
It's
really
almost
really uncomfortable.
It almost turns into like a Peruvian necktie with the leg up that high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Steven has Spider-Man reflexes. Yeah. I'm telling you, his timing was spot on. The past couple, like these 2 days in particular.
Can't wait for the pendulum to swing back the other way to time well with my return to the mats. I'm gonna talk smack for like 3 months from here, show up and just get murdered.
I'm just gonna be getting murdered for 3 months as I'm practicing. Ooh. That was not an easy sweep.
And you're kind of doing like what I was talking about with Bertram earlier. You get set, you pin the shoulders, whichever way. Bertram had a shoulder on your jaw. You've got kind of a reverse cross face, and then just taking your time, getting your leg free, making sure you have control. It's another good example of why sometimes speed isn't always the answer. Justin says, just come back with the sling. It's basically another lapel. I'm going to walk wide circles around you if that's how you look at this sling. I don't need to get tied up with it. I like what Steven's doing to control that leg. And James looked like he's staying good and composed.
He is, yeah. And
Nice.
He's got nice.
Oh man,
Nice.
all right. So, damn, that was. I don't care about the tap or whatever. That was great,
Yeah.
James. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like the. I'll have to look at it again. I want to look at the leg configuration Steven had.
It was outside Ashi.
So
Oh,
yeah.
you mean on the initial
Well, just from here. So he goes from Irimi,
Remy?
right? Yeah, you're right. He switches to outside, and
Outside.
that's classic like Gordon Penna. I believe that was the same kind of configuration. Gordon had the outside
Mateus.
Ashi, and what?
Mateus Denise and Craig Jones, right? Canyon Duarte.
I mean, I just know I think the second Penna Gordon match, right? Wasn't that how Penna ended up taking Gordon's back?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. And Craig got submitted from this exact same position.
Okay. But yeah, either way, good back entry, and Steven, way to not let it break you down, bud.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to dig for this arm that's not budging on Veronica.
Yeah, she does a remarkable job at hiding her arms, especially when you have to roll through on the
trying to-
armbar.
Yeah,
Are you trying to grab
trying
the
to, like-
leg to get the hip? Yeah.
I am, and there's no chance.
So just to elaborate on that, when you get on these belly down arm bars, regardless of how you enter them, a good option from here is to grab the near side leg, pull it to you, right? That gets this leg closer to you. You could pull that, and you could reach up and like bear hug the hips. And what do we know happens when we get someone's hips above us? We get to dictate where they go. So you get to, in this case, Mike would roll Veronica to his left, put her on her back, and attack the armbar from the traditional seated position. But we've done that to her a million times, and she knows what we're trying to get. It also helps. I mean, like, I don't know if you didn't really have anything on her head, like on the back of her head, pinning down and pushing under, like in a power half.
Right.
But with your shin.
So then I go back up and try and take the back again, and I think she winds up shaking me off and getting me into. Do I get back into a guard?
Okay.
Oh, into a mount. Yeah. And then I wound up trying to go for the triangle thing, the triangle again. I think. I was on a triangle hunt that day.
James is doing his damnedest to get past Steven's butterfly guard.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you guys don't commit too hard to like just banging your head against the wall trying to pass from seated position. Like the fact that James just he tried to pass from that kneeling position, it wasn't working, so he stood up to work a looser passing game. You never have to commit to just one style of passing. In fact, if you're good at all of them, loose, tight, and passing with subs, it's a big help.
I like how he tried to threaten the toe hold.
Yeah.
To get Steven to react.
Oh no.
That's a nice back take.
Yeah, that was talk about some Spider-Man shit.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, just kept the legs tangled, rotated them.
Yeah.
And time. Skip ahead. I'm gonna start speeding through these a bit.
Dude, slow down here. Because James catches me. This is where he submits me.
Oh snap. Spoiler alert.
Boom. So he wraps up this, and I think I'm good to start passing.
Oh, that's so deep.
It's so deep.
Oh man.
Now, if we contrast this with the way that Veronica had me before, I was able to turn Veronica on her right hip in this scenario, and I was not able to do that with James. He was very steadfast in getting down to his left side and crunching hard, and I thought that I was going to be able to shake that leg and start to pass the guard.
Yeah.
And he put the squeeze on way before I was able to pass. So that was a good submission, good clean submission.
Well, he bruised his own arm in doing so.
Serves you right.
Let's look at it in super slow-mo. So yeah, you come up on the trying to wrestle up, he sinks it right in.
I'm trying to jump around the leg, but watch what he
briefly got
catches
there.
me.
Yep.
Yeah, he catches me here.
Good sticky hook.
And then, boom.
I'd like to see that elbow come down, James. Your left elbow, come down towards your hip on that side.
Yep.
Again, I'm being nitpicky here because it worked. So whatever. But yeah, pinching that elbow down towards your hip to crank that even tighter. Like your other elbow, I couldn't see it, but I guarantee it was right where it needs to be. You just want to crank down on the head next time.
Yep.
To get it even faster. Maybe your vein won't rupture if you get him to tap out faster.
I'll tell you though, like that, like normally the way that my head was positioned there, it felt like I would have been able to slip out, or it looks like I would have been able to slip out. But I mean, I was testing it. I couldn't slip my head out. Like there was no room. He had a good squeeze. It was good.
What happened there with Steven and Jason?
He initiates the roll and
Oh, then they just move.
out.
Okay.
So then James is trying to do. He's trying to slip his hook in because he wants to do that ninja roll.
Mm.
See how he's trying to step that over. He was talking shit to me while I was doing it too.
Good. James, for what it's worth, man, like I've probably told you this. I know I tell a lot of white belts, but like when when you initially start and you ask your coaches like, oh, what should I work on, and we tell you, defense, escapes, whatever. But I always caveat that with like, if there's a sub that you really like or you find some quick success with, or that you just gravitate to, make that kind of your offensive goal. The guillotine might be yours for now. Working the front headlock, and exploring the options that you have from there. Because even in this role, just a few seconds ago, you had, a pretty commanding headlock there, right?
Hell yeah. They don't feel good.
Yeah, and your ability to put weight down on your opponent from that position. As soon as your knees come off the ground here, Mike's wearing, 80% of your weight, and it makes it really difficult to move. So get familiar with that, man. Like, maybe focus on that position for a little while. See if you can up your success with it.
And in fact, so I remember I think it was last time, because Illumio had mentioned I wasn't
sit-outs?
able to get, yeah, my sit outs. It was against James that I wasn't able to effectively sit out.
Right.
So yeah, man, I'm with Matt on that one, because and frankly, like, we did that with Danny as well. Danny had an affinity for head and arm chokes, and so like, our guidance and everything to Danny was to focus on those, and he has great success with those submissions, and you get him in head and arms, and I mean he goes for the finish.
Yeah. Case in point.
This was not an easy one for me to finish. He was we talk about it after this too, like, I had to set up my head underneath the armpit prior to stepping over and finishing it out, because he's such a strong dude. Like, you know how, like, if you start coming around for the head and arm, and if you don't have it secured yet, people can always like turn to face you.
Backstroke out of it, and
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then here's another front headlock position that I wind up getting flipped over in. I had to flip over. I wasn't gonna fall for it again. But again, trying to fight out of this is not easy for
no.
me.
And good hip control, and you know what's sneaky there, you little bastard. You were waiting for his leg to come up the middle.
Yep.
I could tell immediately, right here. You're waiting for him to drive his leg up the middle, like you're almost inviting it so you could grab it on a leg entrance.
Mhm.
But it looks like he's stepping around for that far hook.
That's right.
All right, time. Skip
I think
ahead.
we just is it Veronica and Steven? Okay. And
James
then,
and Jason.
James and Jason.
Go back here.
So James is working on his entrances into legs. That was good. That was a good entrance, and I like how like we talked about with Steven before, like don't get so fixated on the leg attack, right? And you didn't here. You went for the leg attack. You didn't feel like you had it anymore. So what you do? You came on top, and that's the right thing. So here he goes like a cross, like a deep half guard switch. Passes the leg over. He's like, nope, I don't feel good here. I'm just gonna come back on the top.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's a good strategy. That's a good thing to have in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a spot where Jason's just getting frustratingly difficult to tap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his elbows stay very, very tight.
Yeah. Yeah, something you guys can. I mean, I don't want to put a target on Jason's back here, but something you guys can work alternatively, rather than going to north south. You know, remember a lot of us go to north south when we're feeling like our nice little like superhero entrance there. We go to north south. Go ahead.
I'm very animated.
It helps. Anyway, we go to north-south a lot of times when our side control isn't as effective, or when the threat of a regard is there. You can alternatively go to knee on belly, right? Nice knee bar.
That was a nice knee bar right at the buzzer too.
I'm gonna see this again. So interesting setup. Kind of scooped. I don't think Jason really saw it coming. It was that was definitely a way to catch him off guard.
I like that.
Good.
But just James, just to shore up the knee, when you go to pull the knee back, I'd like to see you with a hand on the toes and a hand on the ankle to make sure that, because one of the ways to get out of the knee bar is to rotate your knee, right? Or to rotate your leg so that your knee is perpendicular to your opponent. And by grabbing the toes and grabbing the heel, like whether it's the Achilles heel or the heel itself, I think that's a good way to stop it. That's like a Dean Lister style grip for the knee bar. Very effective.
Yeah, I noticed just for a minute, right? For a second, you're in knee on belly here, right? And look at Jason. He's this is to my point, not to the point Mike just made. He Jason's pretty hesitant here, right? He knows if he attacks the knee, he's gonna start isolating his own arm, right? So did you see that? He like put a hand on the knee and then second guessed it. It was super brief. Watch, like right.
Yep, I do.
I'll play it pretty slow, but here, right? He thinks I want to push it off, but I'm gonna expose my arm if I do, right there. So that's another way to try to get guys to expose their arms rather than doing it the brute force method from north south, trying to dig and extend. Obviously we're all friends and training partners, and I'm not trying to hurt each other too much, but driving your knee towards the center of the earth with a guy in between, like, that's a great way to get them to react and extend their own arms away to where you can then lock up maybe a figure four grip or something like that. Start opening him up for arm bars or whatever you can. So keep that in mind. Side control, go to north-south if you want. Try playing around with the knee on belly as well. There are also some pretty nasty Darce setups from there too. Or one in particular. This looks mean when it's sped up.
Yeah. Nice.
Beautiful.
And that was just a good example of continuing the angle cut, right? Like, driving up, you had two hands on it, wrestling straight up, boom, boom, circle, 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 bam, done.
Go one more time. We'll go slow. I think I went too far back.
Wrestles up, turn into his left, to his left, to his left, and finally picking up and slamming.
Yeah.
That's good.
Let's jump ahead. Did you get some on Danny there? Oh yeah, you got a Kimura on Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Steven says, I can never drive through Jason, so I just decided to pick him up. And that's fair, man. I mean, driving, you see those kinds of finishes from wrestlers, often like equally sized. Not that there's big, I don't know, maybe there's a larger weight discrepancy between you and Jason, but like, if you can just get your hips underneath somebody in a standing position, the ability to pick them up and just turn them, like that looked more violent than it was. Like it kind of looked like a slam, but you really just, you broke his attachment to the ground and you just turned him, and it's remarkably easy to do that if you can just get your hips underneath him and stand up. Might see it again here, or we might see him get choked.
Head and arm. Yeah.
I'd like to see him snap down from there. I mean, that was.
Yep. He needs to get to his left hip. If he gets to the left hip,
yeah,
that could be a solid threat. I don't think that it's very threatening here. You could see a lot of movement in Steven's head.
Yeah, the sub was there. It wasn't too far away.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but he's got a Kimura on, Steven. Did you see that? Was it a Kimura?
Towards the end. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yes, I remember that. I was watching. Yeah. Yeah, he hits that later on Danny.
Okay.
Which got about 10 minutes, I think, before I want to jump off.
Okay.
Danny got caught in so many Kimuras or Kimura traps that day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's going for a nice little
He tried to toe
hold on you. Did you tap to that?
No, I think we just reset.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that. We weren't having the best of days.
Yeah, I think he left early that day, actually.
Yeah. It's really tiring being in this front headlock position all fucking day.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to scoot out and what to do.
So it was only, I mean, it was maybe a couple months ago, Jason and Steven were working together on this standing guard break. So it's good to see them giving each other some trouble in that position live.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump ahead a little bit, see what happens.
Getting so good at slipping that
I was watching that, just
shoulder crunch.
thinking about how much I hate when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like you're setting up for a sweep.
Brian, he's not taking it. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to feel him out. He's if we stayed there for a second longer, I was gonna do a
I hate how sure of yourself you are. He grabs it, you're like, whatever, all right. Actually, wait, I don't want to skip that.
yeah. So he dives back under for the legs.
So that was what I was talking about earlier, where you
Yeah.
know rolling through in that leg position. That was good.
Yep. Now that was the tightest ankle lock that I've been in quite some time.
So
What
do you
he
just
did there on
do
the
you-
cross side?
do you just act like it isn't to make us feel bad about ourselves, or
Yeah. Otherwise, you guys would continue to squeeze, and that would suck.
duly noted? Write that down, Steven. Good composure.
And then, yeah, he did very, very good clearing the knee line.
I've gotten into some stupid leg lock battles with Steven like months ago. Before he's sharp on his offense and defense now, but like he was well practiced at shutting that stuff down, or has been well practiced for a while.
I think here I'm getting frustrated trying to pass his guard, and I wind up sliding into the legs because I'm like, there's
I need a win.
it's so slippery on the mats. Like even if I stood up, I was gonna hurt myself, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it! Now I've got to do a standing guard break.
Oh, so nice. We are sped up a little bit. Oh. Let's see everything that happened before you mashed his balls in. This is in about
wraps
real
up.
speed.
Yep. I stand up. I'm about to shake the grip, right? Like, and then he inverts. He tries to go in
Look how
and
fast
drop
that
the
was.
legs down. Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna count frames and pretend like I know what I'm talking about with this video player, but we'll play it slowly. But just immediate knee inversion, right? Getting down, cutting that angle extremely well. Obviously you want to get a bit more control over the leg here, and probably with you falling forward, it made it a bit more difficult. But that was super well executed. We didn't even see where that happened.
I just.
Oh, right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yep.
Let's pass.
So in order to prevent the leg entanglement, I cut my knee in very, very deep, like towards the same side hip.
Mm-hmm.
And when he launched me with the inside hook,
Right.
and then when I fell back down, that's just how I wound up falling. Here I was like determined to get to that leg or get to a sweep. I don't think I got.
Now you got his
I
knee
think I
out.
try to get back on top. Yeah. Yeah, you just need him in the balls. That's how you stop him. At least for like 20 seconds, and then he catches his breath and he's good again.
Yeah. A little belly down ankle lock.
Yeah. I think we went over that one on Monday.
Oh, you're
with
hot,
the foot on the inside hip.
hot on his tail for submissions. Still got him at 6.
Oh, yeah, I don't think I catch up.
I'm not happy with how much he's taken everybody's backs. That's my thing.
He's got the high ball right on me.
Yep. Nice.
And regardless of the outcomes of the previous 9 attempts I've had on his shoulder, I still go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, something's got to stick, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. We got James and Danny, it looks like, and you and Jason.
I'm bound and determined to get a double leg on somebody.
I mean, Danny made a good point where your takedowns that day were just hot garbage. I genuinely don't feel like I feel like you're trying to work the scramble. You're not trying to work the takedown. You're trying to work the scramble.
Agreed. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to initiate the scramble, get somebody heavy on my back, and I want to see what I can do from there.
Yeah. So there's method to the seeming ugliness. But I mean, for students in the chat, keep that in mind as a training modality, right? I mean, that's not something that's unheard of. I mean, I know Danaher's squad has talked a lot about how they train from like the late stages of submissions. You know, they do that positional drilling and escaping. So it's a good thing to do. It's fun to start on your feet and slap hands and go, but starting from an armbar, starting from somebody in front headlock, or on putting all their weight on your back. If you're comfortable there, you're going to be comfortable in a lot of other crappy places. So James, one of these upcoming classes we could see where you're at on passing butterfly guard like this, and it looks like you have the right idea. You just been stuck there a couple times. I know it's nothing you haven't experienced. Danny turtling up to avoid the guard pass. A good example of when you don't just have to accept having your guard pass. Get to turtle and then try to work from there. Great awareness. You guys are slipping all over the mats. That would have been great on dry mats. And way to not settle for being in Danny's guard, James. If he hadn't, okay, it worked for him. He had that really tight. Is this when Jason wrist locks you? Was it Jason who wrist locked you that day?
No, it was Caleb, and that was on Monday.
Oh, that was Mondays. Okay.
Yeah, still feeling that. Thanks, Caleb. I hope you feel bad about it.
Man, one thing is for sure though, if Jason ever like arrested me, I probably wouldn't be able to get out of it. Like he definitely knows how to get you under control.
Yeah.
It was a wrist lock, Caleb. A hip switch into a wrist lock is valid, man. You subbed a brown belt, dude. Be happy.
Yeah.
And he's still complaining about it. It was that good of a sub.
It hurts.
So just a few seconds left. It's a nice little attempt on the leg entrance. Cool. Good stuff.
That's it.
We got through a weekend worth
of
of rolling.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. Yeah, and if yeah, all the brown belts are pretty much done at the school. Looks like Steven takes the trophy this week on the submission scoreboard. Way to go. Yeah, man, you definitely had a killer weekend. For anybody who any of the students from the school who entered the chat late, from now on, you guys can, if you tune into this live, you guys can log this on your attendance at the school. So you'll have to log into mooresvillebjj.com, go to your portal for your account, and then just do your attendance for the class when you're watching it, and you get credit for it. So good way to get some more, it's not mat time, but it's studying, so it helps, right? What else? Any other big business?
Just bring your questions to class, you know, and we can go over anything in detail that we cover on here that you have that you weren't able to cover in the chat.
Yep. Anyone else watching us for the first time, not following us, click the follow button. Helps us out a lot. And yeah, other than that, we'll see you this week, the rest of it, and this weekend. And trim your nails before you come to class. Do your laundry. Don't be stinky. And we will see you soon.
And Caleb just asked, we're doing any other days for the stream. We're still discussing it. We haven't kind of come up with the right scheduling yet. Yeah, but I think it's still on the table, right, to do another day.
Yeah, we want to get, we've been thinking Sundays, really a day that we could commit to the gi training. So it won't all just be no gi, for those of you partial to the pajamas. So yeah, it's in the works. We just have to get our schedules squared away. But we'll keep you posted on that. So, cool. All right.
Later on, we'll see you in class.
Take it easy,
and
guys.
Thanks for anybody who doesn't attend MoBJJ, and providing commentary and whatnot in the chats. It's great to have that feedback. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.